Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Welcome to the Horror Show. I am Jaime and Fuego once again here at the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival, part of the Phoenix Film Festival for many years at this point, and very excited to be covering the 2018 incarnation of the festivities. And check it out. We are talking about a film called Wildling, which was one of my absolute most anticipated after we did a trailer reaction. Unfortunately, there is something that we describe as the burden of expectation that all too often happens with films at this. Based on the fact that we had Brad Dourif involved, we had Liv Tyler involved. I saw this solo because Cecil had some work obligations and the girls were busy. But damn, this film had potential. And that is the best way that I can describe it, because it is kind of a werewolf picture, but just like kind of a werewolf picture. More so than anything, it's a coming-of-age picture. And so here we talk about, overall impressions. We talk about story. We talk about acting, practical, effects and things of that nature, music and effects and whatnot. And this is a film that could have been great. It's another one of those where just in premise and in just the ideas behind it, it could have been fantastic, but the overall execution, and especially, unfortunately, with the script, it ended up being very subpar, which was supremely regrettable. Overall impressions, it felt very far below the mark that I was hoping for. It was not very good, but once again, it's almost more paining when you see a movie that could have been great that wasn't very good in comparison with something that just was total suctitude and didn't make it, from top to bottom. So you have this young girl who is with Brad Dourif, who we all know, voice of Chucky. He's been various other characters he's a household name in horror, if we're going to say directly. And so he has plucked this girl who is presumably like kind of a werewolf type young lady, and he has taken care of her, but she's in an isolated scenario, and she is not allowed to actually, go out or do anything. He has her housed away, and when she is reaching maturity is where he realizes all of a sudden, okay, this is not going to go so well. I can't house her any longer, and he kind of decides to delay the inevitable, but eventually she is going to make her way out into society, and that is what eventually happens. She ends up being kind of taken under the wing of a sheriff who is played by Liv Tyler, who I thought she looked okay in the trailers, but she could not have been more boring in this movie. Liv Tyler was terrible in this flick, and she is a lady who I think has acting chops that just did not amount to anything in this film. Bottom line, it's kind of a coming of age of this girl who was right about to turn into the crazed creature that Dourif's character feared she was going to become. And it took too long to get to where it was supposed to be. It was too dramatic, and this is coming from me, who is forgiving of the dramatic nature of a lot of what we see at some of these film festivals and the more artistic like kind of pictures and stuff like that. So Wildling was a big disappointment, especially with when they finally got there. It was illogical. It didn't really kind of give you what is the word that I'm looking for? It didn't really validate a lot of the hints that they gave earlier in the script. It was just disappointing as a whole. And so acting-wise, it wasn't bad, though, nor was the story. And so, story, just to, divulge a little bit more so there, she is taken under Liv Tyler's care, and she starts to mature. And Liv Tyler has not a son, but a brother who kind of strikes up a little bit of a, fancy for this girl. And yet the funny thing is, like, they throw her right into school. She's attending a school after she's been presumably in captivity and, just like hidden away by Dourif, her father, for 15, 16 years, something like that. And they're just like, okay, let's just throw her right into a public school. Everything is fine with that, right? Silly, super silly. And she's, she doesn't really just interact very well. She's invited to a party. Interactions are bad there. Some violence transpires, not divulging stuff. But, Liv Tyler's younger brother really has the hots for her. And so, I don't know. I can't really mention much else beyond that story-wise, but there's a lot of illogical stuff that transpires, especially as far as character motivation goes. With Dourif especially, he does one thing at the beginning of the movie and then pulls a total 180, and you're like, what the hell is this guy thinking? You assume he's like caring and compassionate, and then it's totally different. I guess that's kind of a minor spoiler, but so yeah. Aside from that, acting is good though. Aside from Liv Tyler, the guy who plays her younger brother, very good, and the girl who is this main lichen werewolf protagonist of sorts, she does a tremendous job as well. You can sense her brooding, her frustration, everything that she is going through. I mean, and they do play upon a lot of the just aspects of going through her first period and things like that. I'm not a woman, so I don't know anything about this stuff, but just the pain and just aspect of growth that entails the pain of becoming a woman and stuff like that. So it's all played out very well in the acting department. The problem in this movie is the script and the stupidity and the illogicality that we see all too often, and also the fact that to get to the cool practical, if I'm going to segue into that, she looks really good once she finally gets there. That's all that I can really say. It takes forever to get there, though. It really, really does. And just I don't know. It's, once again, back to scripting problems. Beyond that, there's not really much else to say aside from the fact that, songs and, music and whatever, sound effects and so on, they're okay. They're, like, serviceable, but it's nothing that's going to, like, wow you immensely or anything of that nature. At the very end, though, there is a few decent portions, but that's once we've kind of crossed over to what you would expect to transpire. So yeah, this is once again, as I think I said earlier today with a Sleepwalkers review that I did, it's an amazing concept that was executed very poorly, unfortunately. And so that's about the extent of what I have to say about Wildling, which is one that I wish I could have some additional perspectives upon, but once again, scheduling conflicts with, Cecil and the rest of the gang. So Wildling is a solo review from myself here. I have been Jaime and Fuego. I extend a grande gracias to all peeps who have tuned into this. Make sure to hit that bell, like, share, and subscribe here on The Horror Show if you're down with what we're doing. 2 episodes a day and lots of content 7 days a week. So until next time, remember, stay scared.